art galleries contribute when it opens? How are they going to contribute to the experience when people come to O Cinema to see the films?
O Cinema is certainly going to be a sensory overload. From the moment you walk through the door, our goal is for you not to know where to look, but because there's always something different, something engaging, something you haven't seen before, in every direction. We believe film is it's a perfect example of the collaborative arts, bringing all different mediums together, and our space will do that as well. As you come in, you're going to see a curated gallery with a show that's going to change every 6 to 8 weeks, cutting edge visual art. You're going to see 3 in-house artist in residence spaces whose work is going to change. It's art that's affordable, that's accessible. And you're going to see a dedicated video art lounge where you're going to be able to view works of art created with video. And it will be the only dedicated video art gallery in South Florida when it's open. So it's about creating an atmosphere that inspires you, that gets you excited, that provokes your thought, and sometimes just makes you think, what am I looking at? But that's what we want. We don't want you to gloss over anything. If you're not engaged, we're not doing our job. And I think all of that leads to the culmination, which is film. All of these individual elements are certainly are important of their own, and they make an impact. But when you bring them together, it's really what film is. It's a collaboration between all visual sorts, all sensory experiences. So art is going to be certainly a major factor in what we do. Film will always be in the driver's seat. And being in the Wynwood Arts District, it's kind of a perfect combination.
So because you said that it hasn't really caught up yet, the film, why do you think it hasn't done so until, now?
It's important to remember that Miami is a very young city in comparison to the other metropolises across the country. We're only a little bit over 100 years old, and our growth spurt really has happened in the last 60 years. So keeping that in mind, a lot has happened very, very quickly. Although if you grew up here, you might have always felt it didn't happen quick enough. But if you compare it to New York or Los Angeles or even Chicago or Dallas, a lot has happened in a very short period of time. And things kind of happen organically at their own pace. There's a gigantic community of artists that were coming to Miami for their weather, the sun, the beach. So the art scene happened quite naturally. The New World Symphony started, over 20 years ago now. Michael Tilson Thomas came and started a conservatory for classical music. So slowly but surely, different areas happened independently of one another. And while there were some forays into film as into a permanent exhibition of film year-round, independent art film, there hadn't been something. The timing was never quite right. Of course, we have the Miami International Film Festival, which is amazing, but that happens once a year. So I think that just kind of the cosmos are in line. The city needed it. The growth is, particularly in the Wynwood area, has been exponential in a pretty rapid and short period of time, and film kind of was the only thing they needed to catch up.
So why?
Now, do you have any? You said you're working with Wet Records.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any bands that you have in mind? Are there any friends of yours? Are there any people in Miami that you'd like to see come out here and play?
There's a really great local artist named Rachel Goodrich, I believe is her name. And I recently discovered her, and her music's amazing. And I would love to create an opportunity for more people to hear her stuff. No, my music taste is quite off from everybody else's, so I can't be the the barometer of what the music that we include is. But we're open to anything, which is really, I think, a kind of great space about it. Oak Cinema is a community space. It's really not just us deciding what the audience wants. It's the audience telling us what they want as well. So if there's a great band and they're interested in playing here, or they're interested in sharing their music, it's contact us. We're completely open to it. And there's already, the great and exciting thing is that we get emails, and mostly emails from people all the time wanting to know, when are we open? I have a great idea. I have a documentary. I have a group that wants to play here. I have art that I want to show. And, we're not even open yet. And here you have that kind of level of interest. So I'm really excited about what the future will bring from a music standpoint, from an art standpoint, from a film standpoint. I think the possibilities are endless.
Cool. And
Right now, why all of a sudden is there such a boom in the art scene in Miami in the last decade?
Because Miami is a very unique and special city. If you're in any other town, any other city across the country, or even across North America, cities have very distinct feel, and artists have been going there or from there for years. Miami's kind of coming into its own. It's a very young city. It's gone through growth spurts, the timing it's kind of been organic. South Beach had been, Miami Beach, I should say, had been kind of the epicenter for activity in South Florida for decades. That community got older, started dying off, the new generation came. And then slowly but surely people discovered that there's more to Miami than South Beach. There's these wonderful neighborhoods with these amazing buildings, and let's do something there. So as artists started to look to neighborhoods like the Design District in Wynwood with these large factory warehouse spaces and started using it to create work, gallerists came right in afterwards and said, well, let's show collected work of different artists and sell it. So slowly but surely, in a very organic way, the character of the city itself has created this opportunity. It's also a very unique place. It's in many ways it's much more Latin American city than it is an American city. 51% of the population speaks Spanish as their first language. That creates a very distinct flavor to the community. It has a very international, cosmopolitan feel to it because our population is so diverse. To say Latino as one lump sum is certainly not enough because there's a lot of varieties within that. But we also have a lot of Europeans who come here. We had a lot of Afro-Caribbean, and that's something that's quite unique to the city. And it's temperate, fantastic weather all year long. People want to be here, and that helps a growing community.
a couple right after.
Sure.
Okay, so why is it that you are...
Actually, first, can you state your name and spell it?
I have it.
Oh, you have it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Just making sure.
Censored.
Just making sure we got it.
I got this. Okay, so why is it that you
this.
are building O Cinema and you're doing this project?
The arts in Miami have really grown over the last couple of years, particularly the last decade. And there's just so many amazing organizations that do so many amazing things in the city, in music, in the performing arts, in the visual arts. But film kind of is the only canon of the cultural arts that hasn't caught up. So there's a real need to bring quality art and independent film to Miami. And it seemed like a perfect timing, a perfect location, and a perfect opportunity to create O Cinema and bring to Miami something that it doesn't have.
And why? Okay, so what are the types of films that you're going to be showing at O Cinema when it's completed?
Our goal at O Cinema is to show films that you're not going to see anywhere else in Miami. So you won't be able to go to the Regal South Beach or the Coconut Grove and come here and see the same things. We want to bring the kind of films that make an impact, are unforgettable, but are not mainstream fare. We're certainly not a movie theater for everyone. We're a little bit of something for everyone, but we're offering an alternative to what you're going to find in your neighborhood megaplex. So film as a form of art is certainly at the foremost of what we do. Independent film that film and filmmakers that think outside of the box to tell a story, to provoke thought, to provoke discussion, and to entertain. That's absolutely the most important aspect of filmmaking. And really, it kind of came together. The idea of O Cinema and the kind of films that we wanted to show came together by traveling to other cities often. Myself and Vivian Martel, my partner, and taking a look at the New York Times or the San Francisco Chronicle and seeing what's playing and saying, gosh, this never makes it to Miami. And the reality is that there's a wealth of different voices, young, unique, that never make it to our neighborhood movie theaters. And there needs to be a year-round forum to hear those voices and to see their stories on screen. And that's what O Cinema will be.
You mentioned sensory overload. How would you say music plays into that?
Again, I think that it goes back to film being a collaboration. So music is, you can't have film without music. Even the era of silent films, there was an accompanist who was playing music to go with the film because it heightens the experience. Part of what we're doing here is going to be a partnership with Sweat Records and we're going to do Music Movie Mondays, once a week or a couple of times a month. We're going to do films about music, in particular, whether they're documentary or narrative features. I think that all of the arts interconnect. I think it's really important to understand that and to embrace that. For such a long time, people are creating separations between the different art disciplines, and I think the reality is they all come together. Film is a perfect example of that. So, I mean, music is amazing. We have an outdoor patio area that we will eventually hold outdoor concerts a couple times throughout the year. So, you know, I really do want you to come here and just feel overloaded in every possible way, in a good way, not in a takeaway. I don't know what the hell's going on, but wow, this is great sound. These are great visuals, and I just saw a fantastic movie. And also to bring to us, because it's not just about us bringing to the community, but to the community bring to us. We're really open to collaborations and ideas. So if somebody says, you know, there's this great band, they just released an EP, I would love for you to play it in the lobby when people are coming in. We're all for that.
Now, you said you have a really different music taste. What is that music taste?
Oh, my music taste is obscure. I generally feel that I was born several generations too late, because I listen to really off-the-wall stuff. Right now, I'm listening in my car. I have this CD called Mostly Live, and it's a chorus of 70 and 80-year-olds who sing rock songs in different orchestration. And there's a really amazing documentary called Young at Heart that's about this group, and they're all like elderly people, like, you know, in the last stages of their life, and they're singing stuff like The Clash, Rolling Stones, Creed. Really off-the-wall stuff that you'd never expect. And my friends think I'm completely crazy for listening to it, but it's been in my car for the last 3 days. So my music tastes run all over the gamut. And I'm sure there has to, and this is also makes me feel great, because like, somebody else has to like this. And even if they don't, it's okay.
And what's, because you mentioned hipster, what is that? Who are they?
Oh.
What is that culture?
What is that? I'm really the worst person to describe a hipster. But a hipster, I would say, is probably an informed and oh gosh, you put me on the spot here. I can't even really describe a hipster. I could point one out and I could draw one for you. There's a particular look. There's a particular interest in social responsibility, in scenes and counterculture, kind of going against the grain. That is a lot of what a hipster is. And there is a growing hipster community in Miami. I mean, you kind of always associate it with San Francisco. We associate it with New York, and certainly with Los Angeles and other cities. But there's a real growing hipster scene here. There are young people who are creating their own look, really active in the arts, really active in activism and local politics. And they're creating the scene. I don't know if they identify as hipsters in Miami, but they're certainly here.
When you open it, who do you think you're going to see most? The people visiting the cinema. Are they going to be young? Are they going to be old? Are they going to be... I mean, what the demographics? Who do you think you're most likely going to see?
We want to be home to the counterculture. We want to be home not to the standard fare. I mean, our offerings from a programmatic standpoint is going to be something for everybody, but, you know, this is not going to be where you bring your kids to see Harry Potter 12 or Rambo 13. It's not going to be that type of place. It is going to be the type of place where when a group of people, a group of friends are together and say, God, I wish there was a skating movie or a place to talk about it or a place to see it. O Cinema will be that place. We want to answer the what ifs for people. What if there was a venue where we could see this type of art or see this type of film? So young audiences, really, first and foremost, is what we want to bring. And through that, we want to bring young filmmakers. We want to bring up-and-coming voices, independent, unique voices that you're not seeing elsewhere. Because I think that there's an important aspect of film, which is validation. Seeing your story on screen or things you can relate to is a really impacting experience. You walk away with thinking somebody gets it in one way or another. So I think our core audience will be young. I hate to say hipster, but that's certainly a little bit of what we're hoping to be home to. And again, just kind of the new Miami is, I guess, the best way to describe it. Our audience is new Miami.